What if I told you that one of the most crime-ridden communities in Los Angeles that had the most challenging relationship between them and the police is now a thriving, healthy, growing partnership? I know what you're thinking. Nah, that ain't possible. Well, listen, I have someone with me today who is one of the contributing persons to make that actually happen. He is a TEDx speaker. He is the CEO of Project Blue and now an author. And he's from the CPT, y'all. I have no one other than Compton's finest, Marc Maye, here with me today.
Yeah.
What's up, Marc?
What's up, Jill? How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm excited.
Excited?
Listen. My excitement, I'm excited to be here with you.
Yes, listen, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're a busy man, helping the kids, helping the children out in the community, but I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everything that you have been doing. And I want to highlight some of the things that you have done in the community that has really helped a lot of our troubled youth in the inner city. With Project Blue, how many kids would you estimate that you guys have been able to help? Kind of go from that challenging, situation into having actually hope to getting out of the hood and actually having a successful life. How many kids would you think?
I think if you had to estimate over the years, we're definitely into the thousands. Okay. But on a yearly average, we are impacting 500 kids minimum just with the combination of all of our programs. That fall under the umbrella of Project Blue. So Project Blue isn't a direct program. We oversee programs, or we advocate on behalf of programs, and we have about 5 programs now that we equal about 500 kids that we're currently serving. But over the years, we definitely over the thousands in terms of impact.
Wow! And you did a TEDx. What was that like?
It was interesting.
Okay.
It was something that I didn't think that I would ever do, and I remember when the opportunity presented itself and someone kind of gave me the motivation. It was the discipline that I had to endure and to have, but it was the motivation from someone else who thought I'd be a good fit for it. So I went through the process, and it was just an interesting time. It was an interesting time in my life. I got really sick during my TEDx journey to where I thought I was going to fall off because you really have to be committed.
Okay.
You really have to be committed. Like they're not there to just play around. Like they want great speakers, and my TEDx actually made it to TED.com. So
nice.
It was a pretty good experience.
That is so cool. Listen, you know you big time when TED calls you.
Yeah.
When the homie TED calls you, you know you big things. And so look, I want to go back to that too, or we could actually go back to how things started. I mentioned that you're from the CPT. Compton, yeah. For those who don't know, that is Compton. I'm sure you guys have heard all the things. Let me ask you this. What is one of, because when you hear Compton, a lot of thoughts go through people's head.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about Compton, or are all the perspectives that you may hear?
No, that's a great question, and thank you for raising that question, because I think when people hear Compton, they automatically associate it with negativity. Like no matter, and I think even though they don't think that they're being negative. The rest of my family lives in Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah.
And every time I go to Birmingham, Alabama, and people find out that I'm from Compton, they ask questions about individuals who, aren't in the best light, right? Well, is Compton like this? Is Compton like that? Like the biggest thing I get, do you know Eazy-E, or did you know Eazy-E? And I surprise them where it's like, well, my uncles actually grew up with Eazy-E, so yeah, I can say I know. I remember meeting Eazy-E before. I went to school with his kids, you know. And, what they see about Eazy-E is, just the NWA movement and all that stuff. But, Eazy-E's actually a really good person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was a really good person just in terms of who he was, just as a Compton native, right? I went to Africa, and I went to South Africa, and we went to a restaurant, and it was literally inspired by the city of Compton. They had a whole menu, the NWA nachos, the
NWA nachos.
Yeah, like it was just like their whole menu was inspired by Compton and the movement. But I think the biggest thing is people think negativity, and there's a lot of great things that come out of the city of Compton. There's a lot of beautiful people that come out of the city of Compton, and it's just unfortunate that they associate it with negativity. And I get it, but That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
To show you a different
Yeah.
side of Compton.
And how pumped are you that Kendrick Lamar is from Compton?
Super pumped, especially right now, right? Where, you know, he's
Yes.
making waves in the headlines.
Yes.
But another thing,
Yes.
like, Kendrick is actually a really good person. He's very smart, you know what I mean? He does a lot for the community, and, you know, people might see him and, you know, not like us, and they think of the songs and they think of the whole thing with, you know, other artists right now. I'll spare names and all of that stuff because I don't want to
Steve
open up a can of
Lacy,
worms,
right?
but
There's a lot of
there's
people.
a lot of beautiful people that come from
Absolutely.
Compton, you know, and a lot of people who have platforms like a Kendrick Lamar, like a Dr. Dre, you know, really pouring back into the city. You see, like, the new Compton High School, you know, that Dr. Dre and, you know, that they put, you know, in the city. So it's Compton is beautiful.
Yeah. No, you're right. I saw pictures of the new Compton High.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's I'm a Dominguez
The
High Don.
facility.
Shout out to Dominguez though. Just before we talked about Kendrick. He was Centennial. Dre doing stuff at Compton High. I'm a Dominguez Don.
Listen,
so
you know what? I'm
I
gonna
gotta
give you
shout
some
out
love
my
because
D-High.
my mom went to Dominguez High,
Say
so
less.
you know technically my
Yeah.
mom is from Compton, so it's all good.
Yeah,
And my grandma.
I'm a Dominguez Don all the way.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad they moved, but no, I'm just kidding. No, that's what's up. That's what's up. But no, that Compton High, that was amazing. I saw the
beautiful.
pictures. I was like, my goodness,
It's
I want to
beautiful.
go to school there, right?
No, it's beautiful.
That's
but
what's up.
Why can't we have things like that?
Absolutely.
In Compton? You know, like
100.
why is that? You know, something
100.
that's not normalized. You know, the kids
100.
deserve it in Compton.
100. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. And so I like to, as you know, and not even introduce, this is the human side, right? The name of our show is The Human Side with Officer Jill. And so one of the things I always, or the purpose of me creating this podcast was really to facilitate a platform and a stage to have human conversations with officers and with people who are not officers, right? So that we can have a better perspective and hopefully improve the relationship. I always like to start with asking, you know, what was your perspective? Now you work a lot with officers all the time, right? You speak at the academy even, right? What was your perspective prior to now, what you think of officers today? What was your previous, before?
Yeah.
What
you
was
want
that?
the real, right?
I want the
'Cause
real.
I can
Tell
only be
me,
real.
listen, I got
I don't
thick
know
skin.
no other way to be.
I'm tough. I ain't gonna sit here and cry because you're
Yeah.
talking about my folks.
Yeah.
No,
No,
tell me the
but
real. What was your perspective like?
I hated them.
You hated them. Okay.
I hated them.
Yeah.
And I say that and I lead with that because hate is a strong word. My grandfather raised me in the church. My faith is so real. And I know that hate, I wasn't brought up on hate. I was brought up on love. But when I felt that hate, it was real to me because not even knowing you and interacting with you, knowing you was an officer, I wouldn't even give you the time of day. You know, and I think the hate that I had was from real experiences, Officer Jill. It was real. And I can validate my experiences. But I knew that God didn't put me here to hate. But I think that God put me through certain things in my life during moments of my life to experience those feelings that I had, that he delivered me from those experiences and now gave me a platform to do better, not just by officers or my community, but to do better by people overall. And, you know, we'll get into that, but that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm able to say now there's a different side of me because of some things that have happened along the way.
Can you recall, I know you say this from experience, like you had such a extreme hate for law enforcement because of your experiences. And that's not always the case for people. A lot of times it's, I won't say a lot, but there are instances where people have a perspective based on just what they've seen, what they've heard. But you have actual experiences. Is there one experience in particular that you can like pinpoint, like, you know, it was this stop, this contact, this interaction with this officer that just made me like, man, I wanted to bomb on him, right?
Where do I start? You know, and I think that's such a deeply rooted question because I can go so many moments. Yeah. My hate was based off my experiences. My perception was based off my experiences, and I think if all they know is this, then they're going to have a perception about that based on what they went through because they don't know the other side.
Right.
But for me, if I had to just, in no particular order, but if I just gave you one, I mean, I'll give you one where I got kids in my car, and at this point in time, I'm coaching and, I'm taking kids to a soccer game and I get pulled over and I got guns at my windows.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a school teacher and I'm trying to do right and I'm working in these communities trying to give back. Like I'm doing everything that I feel like God wants me to do in terms of giving back to my community, but no matter what, I keep finding myself on the other side of the coin when officers see me.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fear that I had for those kids that was in my car, them not knowing how to react, not knowing what to do, and to be pulled over in this moment with no explanation when they realized that it was kids in my car. They bagged up and, I'm asking questions and I'm trying to set the right example for the kids. I'm trying to, in this moment that's really bothering me, I'm still trying to be right. I'm still trying to teach them how to react in these situations. I just didn't feel like I was treated fair, so these are in my later years. These are in my adult years. But if you go down to my childhood, I can be sitting in front of my house and in Compton and my granddaddy's coming outside to me, in the driveway on the back of the hood with handcuffs. Why?
Wow. Yeah.
I'm at home.
Yeah.
But those moments scarred me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been several moments that scarred me during my upbringing that the hate that I had was real because they came from deeply rooted places.
Yeah. Trauma. Yeah. Seeing a loved one in handcuffs and especially as a kid, you don't fully understand. Even if that loved one did legitimately do something wrong, all you know is that officer is taking my person that I love away from here.
And you feel violated.
Yeah.
I think like if I was doing things contrary to, what the thing was, like I can probably understand it a little bit better. But and I was really trying to be right as a kid.
Yeah.
And it was sometimes with those moments where it was like, okay, if I'm trying to be right and I'm still getting hemmed up, then I might as well just do what you think I'm doing and really get down with it because you're gonna bother me anyway.
Right.
So that started happening for me too.
Wow. So and you mentioned that you work with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Have you always, and thank you for sharing that, by the way. I appreciate that. I know we don't talk as much. Well, I think now we've gotten more comfortable in talking about trauma and mental health and things like that. But sometimes even recalling those moments can trigger some things in us. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that trauma within the Black community, we both Black. If y'all can see, we Black. I know that trauma sometimes can be challenging. So I appreciate you sharing that with me and with us. You said you were a teacher. Have you always had a desire to work with kids?
I wouldn't say I always had a desire, but it was always in my face.
Okay.
My mom was a teacher. She was an educator.
Okay.
And for years, she was a teacher. 25 years. I mean, when I was in elementary school, my mom worked at the same elementary school from when me and my sister were in elementary school to us being adults, and she's still at the elementary school. But what that did for me was like when, and I'll just use LeBron James for an example, right? Just to give context to what I'm going to answer your question with. You look at Bronny James, and you look at him and even his son Bryce, right? And they're up and coming basketball players. They watch their dad their whole lives be a basketball player. They know what it's like. So it's just like it just naturally came to them, right? So when you see like these superstars, you always wonder like what their kid's gonna be like. I wonder if the kid's gonna follow in their footsteps. And and it's easy because like they're paying attention to his habits. They're watching his lifestyle and they're mimicking that. They're imitating that from kids to where now I'm not surprised that Bronny James is in the NBA. I'm not surprised that Bryce is going to be, he's in college right now and going to the NBA. I say all that to say, for me, my mom was my superstar. And my mom was the educator in the neighborhood that everyone loved. So for years as a child, I used to get upset because I had to share my mom with the whole community because that was mama to everybody, because she took care of people. Like she genuinely took care of people. And she showed me, I think, how to really understand kids, how to work with kids indirectly to where now as an adult, I didn't think I was going to grow up to be a teacher. I didn't think I was going to grow up to be in education, but that was all I saw for so many years to to where it just naturally came. It just naturally came within me to be like, I can reach kids, I can work with kids, and I saw her do it, so it was innate for me.
Okay, nice. You just kind of fell into it. Like, you know what? It was in you.
Yeah, it was in me.
It was literally in you.
I mean, I wanted to be, I think, just like majority of kids, from the inner city, like, right? I wanted to be an athlete.
Yeah.
Right? I played sports.
Okay.
Like, I thought I was going to be in the NFL and the NBA at the same time, right? Not even knowing that you can't do that. But that was me as a kid. And that's where I put all my eggs into those baskets, but that wasn't the reality. And teaching, I wasn't say it came up just I didn't have anything else to do. It just came natural to me. So
yeah, that's awesome. That is so true what you say about playing sports. Like as a kid, I thought that I was gonna be the first girl in the NBA. And this was before the WNBA was existed, right? Yeah. Oh my God, I just aged myself. Why did I say that? That's what's up, though. I love that. I love that you just fell into it, especially now seeing how much help and progress that Project Blue and all the different programs that you're involved in, how has it done? So how has this transition, walk us through the process of born and raised CPT, having trouble with law enforcement, just in general, falling into, I guess, working with kids. How has that now gotten you, the process of getting into Project Blue? Okay. Like, where did that start? I know that originally you had another nonprofit that you worked
Forward
with.
Progress. That where we started. That's where I started. A friend of mine, Devin Terry. Shout out to Devin Terry. We started Forward Progress, really just under the umbrella of, providing more for our kids. Devin was a probation officer in juvenile hall. Okay. I was an educator, and my school went up to 8th grade, and it was Devin and I were best friends since college. And what happened was, him being in juvenile hall, working with kids, there was a kid that I saw from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade. And, he went on to high school. But then I remember getting a phone call from Devin one day and saying, hey, man, like, I got this kid here, and he keeps talking about you. And he doesn't know that I know you. Like, do you know this certain kid? Because his kid was like, man, Coach Maye would be really upset with me. Can I call Coach Maye? And he's like, Coach Maye. So he put two and two together, like, Coach Maye, that's my boy. So it was just like coincidence that he happened to be in this facility. And Devin calls me, and I'm like, yeah, that's one of my kids. What's going on? And he told me, that something had happened. He was there with him, and it was at that moment where it was an aha moment that happened between Devin and I, to where I tell this story all the time. Like, well, what's the disconnect that a kid will leave me in 8th grade and really be promising to be a good life and end up with you in juvenile hall? Like, that was a serious question that we had to sit down and really trying to unpack a little bit. And when we unpacked it, we realized that we wasn't doing enough. We wasn't doing enough. And for me, when kids left 8th grade, I would always notice that kids would go to high school, but they would still come back to the school that I was working at. And I would try to find things for them to do, like, tutor the 8th graders. I mean, the elementary and junior high school kids, help me coach and do all these things. So I'm putting them in leadership roles where I think it's helping them, but I'm realizing that besides the leadership that I'm putting them into, they still need guidance. Right. They still need help. So
life skills.
So, like, for Devin and I, like, that was the premise of how we started Forward Progress, because it was to kind of tackle some of those gaps that will allow a kid to leave me in 8th grade but end up with you. Like, that wasn't the route that we wanted. So Forward Progress came as just a vehicle to use sports to teach life skills. And that's kind of where it started, with just some summer camps and things of that nature. But the work was so meaningful and so driven by purpose that Project Blue became a separate vehicle where, I was approached by two individuals who are the founders of Project Blue, and we sat down and we met and we talked about just the component of what I was doing with the sports and life skill aspect. And at this time, Project Blue was overseeing a football program called the Watts Bears at the time, which is now the Watts Rams. And they felt like that life skill component was missing from the Watts Bears, now Watts Rams. And I was approached with an opportunity to kind of take the vision that I had created with Forward Progress and kind of bring that to Project Blue. But there was a big but.
Okay. What was the but?
The but was using these programs as a vehicle not only to teach kids life skills and set them up for successful pathways to their life, but also to bridge the gap between community and law enforcement through youth programs. So, saying it like that, I was like, okay, so what does that mean?
Right.
That was my next question. Well, it
Right.
meant to work with police officers. It meant to like really, create a space where officers and kids can kind of engage and build holistic relationships that carry out into the community. Well, at this time, I'm still on that edge where it's like, I don't really like police.
I don't fool with the police like that,
you know
right?
what I mean? Like, I don't really fool with police officers.
Yeah, okay.
So I was like, yeah, I flirted with the idea. I thought it was cool, but I kind of left it on the shelf for a little bit. And in the midst of leaving it on the shelf, something transformative happened in my life where there was this officer who will come frequently to the elementary school, junior high school that I was working at, K through 8th grade, elementary, junior high, same school. And he would come, and he's this white guy from Boston working in Watts. So now I'm in Watts, the school that I was at, it was in Watts. Shout out to Watts.
Yes.
I got family
Yes.
that lives in Watts. Watts is my second home.
Yes.
I love the city of Watts. Just like Compton, Watts has beautiful people, and I want the perception of Watts to be that as well, just like I wanted for Compton. So just want to throw that out there. But he was working at the school through a program that he had created that, kind of has some of these elements. And he would come up to me and he would try to talk to me. And at this point, I'm cool. Right. I'm cool. He would come up to me when I'm on the playground. I would go the other way. He kept trying. And I just didn't really want to have anything to do with him. I wasn't open to the conversation. Because I was still at that point where these things that I told you the story earlier, where I got pulled over with kids in the car. Like these are real moments still happening at this time.
That trauma still was affecting you.
Yeah. So like when he came around, like I just I just didn't want to have anything to do with it. And it was one moment where he came and he said, hey, and he started like, hey, I know you don't want to talk to me. That's kind of how he led the conversation. And I'm okay with that. I respect that. But you're a phenomenal coach. So at this point, he was being strategic now that we know. But he said something that empowered me, that recognized something that I was doing. And he says, there's this youth program that's in need of coaches right now. And I think you will be a great addition. You don't have to talk to me, but if you're interested, there's kids from the community that are playing on this Watts Bears football team, and they need some good coaches like you. Here's the practice days. All you got to do is show up. You don't got to say my name. If you're interested, the guy's there. And he left it at that. He left it at that, Jill, and I thought that was interesting. So I played around with it for a minute, and then guess what? What do I do? Because I love kids. I love empower. I love coaching. I showed up. And I showed up to that practice, and I immediately, hit it off with a couple of individuals, the coaches. I knew them, I didn't know them to that degree, but I've seen them around the school in regular clothes. Didn't really know who they were, but that was it. And I started coaching with these guys. It was 4 guys, and they were all black guys. Yeah. And I started coaching with these guys, and one of them in particular, all of them great men. I'll say that right now, all of them great men. But one of them in particular, me and him, we started going to the gym together after practice. I mean, we lifting weights
And they were officers, right? The coaches.
I didn't know.
Ah, okay.
I didn't know.
Okay, go ahead. I messed it up. I'm
they
sorry.
They're at practice in regular athletic attire. They're coaching. Yeah. And it was 2 months in where I get a call from one of them, the head coach, and he's like, Marc, hey, we running late to practice. We got held up. Can you lead practice? Can you start it off? Cool. So I'm like, that's what I do. So I'm leading practice, get all the kids going, and, with all the other assistant coaches. And then maybe 30, 45 minutes into practice, I see 2 black and white police vehicles pull up. So my mind, my alert went up whoa, what happened up here? What's going on? Right. And out of the car comes these 4 individuals in full police uniforms. And I'm that. And I'm looking and I lose track of what I'm doing. Now I'm bothered. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Wow. And then they come and I say, hey, how long, y'all cops? That's literally how I'm talking to them. The kids, everybody looking at me what is he off of? And I'm still trying to really figure out what's going on. I'm like, am I being punked? You know what I'm saying? Is this a show? Where the camera's at? And I'm like, y'all cops? And they're like, Marc, you didn't know we was cops? And I'm like, oh no, I didn't know y'all was cops. How long y'all been cops? Marc, we've been cops for over 10 years. Wow. And it was at that moment where it was well, I guess it's too late to hate y'all, right? But it was at that moment where an aha moment happened in my life. So that moment happens, me and these guys are cool, and my ride home that night was deep. It was a lot of thinking that was happening. Like, man, what just happened?
Wow.
What just happened? You know what I mean? And now I'm going back to the Project Blue job that's on the shelf. Now I'm kind of giving that a little bit more attention just in thoughts. And now I'm realizing that my perception had changed based on this new experience.
Yes.
So then I go back to just my childhood. I go back and I really just kind of look at my life and I say, God, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, tell me what you're doing. And if you can really help me understand what you're doing, I'll follow. And it just became clear over the days, over the weeks, that everything that I had went through in my childhood up until that point of my adulthood with law enforcement, with that hate, God did that on purpose. He delivered me on purpose. And what that did was that gave me a real experience, or a real moment of just, I'm not the only one that goes through and feels that side. But guess what, Mark? I'm going to use you now. So now I'm going to give you another side. And now when I give you this other side, now I want, Mark, you to do the work and figure out your community who has that side, they deserve that side too. But not only does the community deserve that side, the officers deserve to understand what that side was like for me, but also how this side impacted me. And if they can take that and take my life and apply that to everyone that they're working with, so when they do go and interact with community members who have that hatred, don't take it personal. Just show up different.
Right.
How can you show up different?
Right.
So then when I went back and met with my founders now of Project Blue, I was intrigued because I said, you know what, we can really do something powerful. I know what you guys want to do and communicate a new narrative of how law enforcement in the community shows up together. But I also think we can take this a step deeper and really create humanity. Really create humanity through education, through empathy, through understanding.
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
And I said that if I'm coming on as Project Blue executive director at the time, I want to be able to use my story, share my story. Not only are we going to make this something that we feel the community has to get in line with, but the officers as well have to get in line with as well. And we create the bridge that's a two-way street, not a one-way street.
Right.
And they were excited. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what we want you to do. That's what we want you to do. Your story is the reason why we want you to be in this place.
Right.
And the rest is just kind of history now, where it's like, you know, I'm teaching at the LAPD Academy, you know, before officers become officers, and I'm telling my story, but I'm also giving them the understanding of the community. So when they show up in these communities and someone doesn't like them, it's not that they don't like you, it's that the experience that they've had is giving them a reason to feel this way towards you. Now you show them something different. But then I'm also able to go to the community and tell the side of, this is Jill before she's an officer. Give her a chance. Give her a chance to show you who she is. And when you do that, then you can pick and choose what you want to stand with or not. You know, so that's what we're doing.
Yo, I love that story. I love that story.
It's a real story, Jill.
Dude,
like it's my story right now.
I love that because just that, and I'm for this my podcast, the human side for the show. You had just a human interaction with other men who cared about kids.
Yep.
Outside of you
That's
knowing
it.
that legit, you didn't know they were officers.
Legit didn't know they were officers.
Legit.
Yeah.
And that's
we
all
laugh
it took.
about that to this day.
That's all it took was for you to see them as human beings and to be with them, to be in proximity.
Yep.
For that, a huge shift
Yep.
for you to see officers differently.
And now, and even take it a step further, you know, with CSP, the Community Safety Partnership, where, you know, Project Blue's partnership is directly with, you know, the goal and the shared vision between Project Blue and CSP is to create those moments of just being organic moments where both sides get to see the human side of each other, right? Because I think it's something important for the officers to see the human side in me.
Yeah.
And when I say me,
For
I'm
sure.
speaking on behalf of the community,
Right.
because just because people are a certain way and they fit the description of a certain lifestyle don't mean that they're not
Right.
people.
Let me ask you this, right? Because this is something that early on in my career as a Black female officer, I had some challenges, right? Some struggles with being a Black officer in the Black community. And I can count several times where I was called a traitor, right? A sellout. You work for the man, even members of the family, not like my direct family, but
100%.
How have you navigated that? Have you experienced that
Yes.
within this process?
Yes. And that was one of I think the challenges with even stepping into this, because I knew I would have to experience that. But what I always told myself is, you know what, Mark? And like I said at the beginning of this show, I only know one way to be, and that's my real self. And I knew that with my faith, that if I just showed up every day as my real self, the rest would do itself. And that's what I continue to do. I just show up as me, and I continue to show up for my community, even though they don't quite understand yet. It's not for them to understand just yet. But if I keep showing up and doing the work, then one day they'll have an aha moment and say, man, he's been working for us the whole time.
Right.
He's been doing this for us the whole time. And I know that they're not going to get it in the beginning. I didn't get it in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So true.
So because I know that, and the hate that I get why they feel that way. And that's why I go back and say, God, you put me through that because you gave me just the wherewithal to know how people are feeling. And I can't expect them to just know that because I know where I am now, that I have to give them grace.
Yes.
So I give them grace
100%.
and I give both sides grace because I think that's humanity.
Yeah.
Is to give each other grace for those things that they might not be exposed to yet. So when I show up for Project Blue, I'm showing up for the community. I'm showing up for the officers like you and all the officers that are doing incredible work.
Right.
I'm showing up for humanity.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. I was reading today, as you said, that you made a memory come to my head, that I was reading that we are often blessed, not just for us, right? We are blessed to be a blessing to others.
Yes.
And God blessed you with the gift to be able to identify that so you can be a blessing to members of the community. And listen, that's awesome. I love that. Oh, man. I feel like we're not going to have enough time.
I'm here for as long as you need me. So.
We're not going to have enough time. Okay, so now you're working for Project Blue. You're working directly with officers. And one of the things that I went to the website and I was just looking at that, I started reading so many of the comments from people in the community who did not like the police. And I mean the comments, I can't even remember all of them. I did not like the police. Literally, I did not like the police before this. But what Project Blue has done with the leaders and the officers, it just blows my mind. Did you think it was going to get this big?
Yes, because I feel like this is a movement and purpose from God. You know, Project Blue, just for those, Project Blue is an organization that convenes resources, partners to create access and opportunity for youth programs to elevate their work, amplify the impact, and communicate a new narrative. We have 6 programs that operate under Project Blue. Each program is assigned 3 pillars that they have to adhere to kind of maintain their good standing with Project Blue. And on the flip side of that, you know, we'll fundraise, we'll write grants, we'll do all the back end stuff for these programs so the programs can be exactly what they are. But the communicate a new narrative part was to really be intentional about the narrative that we're creating between police officers and community members together through the foundation of young people. You know, you don't have to like the same football team that I like. We don't have to agree on certain things. But I know one thing that people normally come together for is for the benefit of these kids.
Yes.
So if we can bring members that from the community, members from law enforcement that don't necessarily like each other at this point, they'll grow to like each other because of the kids that they're trying to help. You got to put your differences to the side just because they're common things. So kids have
common
been
ground.
that for us. But when you ask me, did I think it would get this big? I don't feel like we're big enough right now.
Okay.
And I say that respectfully because I feel like there's so much work that we have to continue to do. And any officer and community member that comes within our program, we're training them on child development. We're training them on youth mentorship. We're training them on cultural competence because there's members in the community that don't even understand that culture. They don't even understand the community and where they come from and the communities that they're serving. You know, so we train all of these officers and community members together, and then we put them out to kind of work with the programs and work with the kids and build relationships with the families too, because it's not just the kids, it's the parents. It's the broader community where we're just giving people an opportunity or a platform to show up differently.
Right.
That's what we're doing. So
I like that. I like, and you kind of bring up a thought that I want to talk about, which is accountability.
yes.
Right? We hear that word a lot. It's thrown around, sometimes too much, and sometimes it's necessary. And I believe that there is a owned or we need to come together and both have accountability.
100%.
We meaning the police and the community, right? There are some aspects of the community that they need to do more, and there's aspects that we need to do more as the police.
100%.
What does that look like to you for the community to be accountable to improving that relationship between the police, and what does that look like to you for the police to be accountable?
I think it can look so many different ways, but I'll park one here that I think can look the same for both. I think from a community standpoint, you know, when I see somebody in my community that's just not doing right, like it's my responsibility to say, hey man, like
Right.
that ain't making us look good right now.
You selling drugs in the corner, bro.
Yeah, like you know, I ain't telling you how to make a living, and I know that, you know, you probably doing what you got to do. I got that. But do these kids deserve to see that and think that that's what they supposed to do, right? And then the same thing from an officer, like, hey, you could have handled that situation different. Let me share some, like, so really it's just, you know, speaking up and using their voice. And sometimes, like, that's powerful because when someone from the community uses their voice, and let's just say it's in an interaction between an officer and a community member, and me use my voice to my community with respect, I think that has to be the case. You know, you can't just try to hold somebody accountable and don't respect them. You got to respect them. But with respect, you know, the officer can look and say, okay, well, maybe I can kind of count on the community to help me, you know, do what I got to do, you know, in a respectful way. But then the same thing from an officer. If a community member sees an officer holding another officer accountable, do you know what that does for the mind?
Yeah.
You know, to where it's like, okay, you actually get it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we share a shared responsibility and accountability by holding each other accountable just to move different, you know, just to educate. Accountability too is how we educate each other on each other. You know, I learned a lot, you know, just kind of being in these spaces with law enforcement on, you know, just some of the things that you guys and why you see things a certain way. So I feel like it's my responsibility to share that with the community because they don't know, right? They don't know. And I think just on the flip side, sometimes, you know these communities, you from these communities, you can share that with officers like, hey, you know, that's what that means. My mother was the loudest person that you would ever meet. She was so passionate.
Okay.
She if my mother walked in this building right now, you would hear her at the door. Whether it was her voice, whether it was her keys, whether it was her bracelets, like you would just hear. I'm like, yep, she just came. She's here.
She's a teacher. She got 800 keys.
800 keys and all kind of more stuff, right? But if you didn't know my mother and you heard her speak, that passion, that tone that she has, you can easily mistake that for aggression.
Right.
If you don't know her.
Absolutely.
So like, I feel like for us, or like for me, like I share that when I go at the LAPD Academy to officers, like just because someone's loud don't mean that they're mean.
Right.
You know, and I think it's those type of things that we as a collective have to continue to share with each other on both sides so we can better understand each other.
Yeah, and those are just cultural differences.
That's it.
Those are cultural differences for sure.
That's
You're
it.
100%. That's a good example. That's a great example. Okay, and I know you probably had this. Just keeping it real. What do you say to just the OG in the hood? Like, yo, Marc, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like you bringing all the cops in here, making it hot in here. Right? Like, what? I know it's happened. I know it has. How do you navigate that?
Respect them.
Okay.
I respect your opinion. I respect where you're coming from. But my purpose is deeper than the surface right now, brother.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that we have to do is we have to validate why people feel the way that they feel.
Okay.
And, you know, for the OGs or whoever see what I'm doing, you know, they have every right to feel that way. Because I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they feel that way.
Right.
Now, if I just dismiss that, then I'm not doing myself any justice. But I hear them out, I listen to them, and I just ask them to give me a chance to show up.
Right.
And typically because what they see me doing for the kids, I think it overweighs that 100% of the time, because they know I'm showing up for the kids, and when I show up for the kids, I'm showing up for the community. One thing about me as a CEO now, and one thing that I've always said, to my staff, to my organization, like, I get in high-level rooms where I'm at meetings, I'm at tables, I'm at these conversations where where things are happening, where I have to use my voice. But one thing I've always said, and I stand on this, I don't care how big I get as a CEO, executive, whatever it is, you will never take me from the front lines of the community.
That's what's up.
I cannot be the voice of this movement without being the voice of the people.
Right.
I gotta be there.
Right.
Because if they don't see me, and then I'm just coming through with all it is with the police, they questioning, like, what is he doing? But when I'm there, and I mean, I'm out of this suit, I'm in regular attire, I'm playing with the kids, I'm bringing the resources, I'm not just standing around looking. I'm there, I'm in the trenches. I'm you. They tend to give me the respect because they know I show up for them.
Oh, absolutely. They know you're real. You're not just talking from behind a desk, right? We hear it all the time, like, even within law enforcement, right? We talk about how those who may get higher in certain positions need to be there to see what's actually happening.
You can't make decisions from behind the desk and think you're making, I mean, you might think you're making the best decision, but really, are you?
Right.
Like, I'm there.
Yeah.
I gotta be there.
Man, that's what's up. I love that. I absolutely love that, Marc. I think that is awesome. So you've been in close proximity now with law enforcement. What is one thing that, if you can tell officers on how better to serve the community, what would that one thing be?
To listen. To listen to the people, and listen to understand versus listening to win. That's one thing. I can tell a million things, but that's one thing that I'll leave, because I think sometimes when you listen, and it's not, and I keep going back to the word humanity, because these aren't just tools that I'm teaching officers to be the best officer. When I go to the LAPD Academy, I lead off and say, I'm not here to tell you how to be a good police officer. That's not my job.
I was about to say, that's not your job.
That's not my job. My job is to get us to be better humans. And when you become a better human, by default, you become a better police officer, you become a better bank teller, you become a better educator, you become a better anything when we lead with humanity. So if I can tell an officer, I'll tell the officer the same thing I'm going to tell a community member that works in banking or whatever it is, right? Listen to understand versus listening to win. Because when you listen to understand, you tend to understand why somebody feels the way that they feel, and your response can be different. And we just got to meet people where they are. And I think for the community, we have to meet officers where they are. For the officers, we got to meet community. And I know we've been breaking down community versus law enforcement. And for the sake of this conversation, I've been rolling with that. But to me, community is a group of stakeholders that all represent a certain space.
It's collaborative. It's together. It shouldn't be said. I agree with you.
So I feel like when I say community, that encompasses officers too. Just as well as everybody else that make up this thing called community. But for the sake of the conversation, I know we're describing it from one side, but for me, it's we all one. And until we see each other as one, there's going to always be a divide. You don't need to divide or bridge anything that's one. You're bridging things that's on one or the other. We're creating a bridge for them to coexist. But if we see each other as one, what bridge do we need to create?
Right. You're so true. Listen, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And you're right. We've been talking about just in separate entities, but I believe that as well. Actually, I did a actual podcast on the us versus them. And it can't be like that. It can't be like, it won't work.
It's been like that for too long.
There's no relationship on the planet. Whether it's friendship, romantic, whatever. There's no relationship that works with only one side is working it. You got to both come together. There's no us versus them. And I love that. And that's so true. And I was going to ask you, what is one thing you say to the community? But it applies.
Yes. Everything that I teach and everything that when I lead with Project Blue, it applies to everyone. And I think I have to keep that mindset because that allows me to show up for everyone.
Yeah.
into where I don't get, well, I'm doing too much on it, or I'm doing too much. Well, like, because I'm not here to boss people around. I'm just here to create space for people to just
Right.
enjoy each other.
Right. I love that. So you mentioned earlier, I asked you, did you think that Project Blue would get this big? And you said, I think it needs to be bigger. Okay. Tell me that vision. What do you see? What do you see when you say, I think it needs to be bigger? Is it you want this in every, not only obviously in here in LA, California.
A national model.
There we go.
A national model where community comes together to move the next generation forward. And to think about the next generation, the generational change is how I see Project Blue. And in order to make a generational change, we have to understand that our commitment goes beyond the next 2 months. In order to really change a generation, you need about 10 years to do that.
Okay.
You need about 10 years to change a generation. So when I look at Project Blue and say we're not big enough, I see us being a national model where we all come together to forward the next generation, but we need time. We're not going to get it right all the time. We're going to have setbacks.
Right.
We're going to have, but setbacks should only be looked at as comebacks.
Right.
Because what sets us back should allow us to move forward better through understanding, through education, and just through relationships. And that's what I love about CSP, the Community Safety Partnership of LAPD. We sit at the table together, and we're holding each other accountable for things that are happening within the community. And, you know, Deputy Chief, I love Amada Tingirides, who her and Phil, who, you know, had this vision of community safety partnership, and I've watched how she's grown in her role as an LAPD officer, the assistant chief now. But even now, like the new deputy chief, her name is Ruby Flores, and Ruby is so open to just this model being the model that goes above and beyond, but she's doing it in collaboration with us and other entities that's doing it, but we truly believe in what we're doing together. And when I look at what we can become, there's conversations that we have that are not always comfortable.
Yeah.
But you can't really experience what being comfortable feels like unless you get uncomfortable.
Right.
So we have to have these uncomfortable conversations with each other to where we can address accountability, we can address education and empathy, and we can address what's happening, because when we do that, we allow ourselves to say, we can become bigger. We can become a national model, because if we can do this here in LA,
right.
tell me where else we can't do with that.
Is possible anywhere.
Anywhere.
And when if it can happen in LA for sure,
it just takes the right people at the table. And when I say the right people, you got to remove ego. If you're doing it for self, we're not going to get anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
If you're doing it to make yourself look good and look what I did, we ain't getting nowhere.
When you say that, I think because you can't do it with ego, because people are going to see right through that. 100%. Especially in the hood.
Yeah, we see right through it all the time.
Especially in the hood, like, nah, they just here for the cameras.
For the cameras, for the photo ops. We ain't here for that. You got to be about the people.
Yeah.
And when I say the people, I'm talking about everybody, the community, law enforcement and community residents.
Yeah.
So you got to remove those egos and come together for one common goal that I think we all want.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, gosh, yes.
But the big part is that we can't excuse what's happened before. Like, we got to have those conversations. Like, when different things happen and, you know, community members are angry and stuff, like, what better person to come and talk about that than an officer? I had an officer address some members in the community, you know, about some things that were happening in the media that showed, you know, that where officer was wrong. Like, the community, like, he came out and addressed it before they can address it. And it's just like, we got to be okay doing that.
Yeah. And we may not always do the best job at that, right, as officers. And I think, and I talk about it even with other officers, is, and I'm not making excuses. I think one of the reasons why as officers we struggle with that is because there is always this cloud, if you will. There's a cloud of with fingers pointing down on you, blaming you for all of society's ills. And I think, unfortunately, it's like this. It's like almost like an automatic reaction for officers to go into defense mode, right? But I think you're right. I think if we talked about accountability, if we became a little bit more comfortable with being uncomfortable about talking about some of these things, it could really grow all of us big time Big time. I love that.
But even officers, like, one thing I'll say respectfully is that I don't think officers do a good job of telling their story in general.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, from coming into this space, like I know some great men and women who wear the uniform. They don't tell their story.
Right. No, you're right.
And if their stories aren't being told, then the perception is always going to be what the media tells.
Right. Or people make up their own story.
And what the media tells is true, but there's a lot stuff that happens that doesn't get talked about. And I think that's where we got to be better at, which is storytelling in general. The same thing I said about the community. When you first asked me, like, people get this misconception of Compton, I said they always go to the negativity because we're not telling the story of the good stuff that's happening in Compton.
Yeah.
So when these stories aren't being told, it's easy for someone to be drawn to negativity all the time. And those things are happening on both sides, but it's good.
How do we do that, Mark? How do you think as officers
that's why
do we
Project
do?
Blue is here.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to tell your story.
Right.
Because then when you tell your story, it's like, oh, you just patting yourself on the back.
Yeah.
You just let us tell your story. Let us tell the
Let
story.
us experience you, the real you, and then tell people, hey, this is what that.
Let us tell your story. And we here to tell the story of the people. We're here to tell the story of those that are doing good, to communicate a new narrative. That's a part of our motto, is to communicate a new narrative based on storytelling, the good works that are happening. When we have these officers in these spaces where they're working with community members, the impact is happening. We need to tell those stories, and that's what we do at Project Blue through data, right? Through meaningful data from behavioral metrics that we create and really allow people to move the needle from that standpoint, but also through a lot of anecdotal stories that really show the impact is happening. We telling the story of the community that's doing great. We telling the story of the good men and women that wear the uniform that's doing right. So we can put that out and show the world that we're actually a little bit better than what we perceive to be. That's the motto of Project Blue.
That is awesome. I love, and you're right, because like I said, I went to the website, and I just read through all the comments, and I know those are real statements made by people,
by
real people, and they're just tons. And I'm sure that's just a snippet. That's just a snippet, and I love what you guys are doing.
So we can share those stories because we share the other stories too.
Yeah,
like within our network. Yeah, our officers, they come and they talk to our kids about that. We ask our kids, like at the end of every night of a program that we have officers in, we always open it up to kids and our family members to kind of address anything that's on their mind. And it's always like a space where our coaches and officers are in a hot seat. Yeah. But I feel like that's so important to be able to take the questions from kids and from parents, right? Because if you don't answer those questions, they're going to develop their own thoughts about, and we can answer them. And our officers have done a great job of being uncomfortable, with those questions. But that's what works. So
this thought just came to me. I definitely want to talk about your book for sure. Okay. But was the relationship? This is thought just came to me. Was the relationship? Because I want to talk about real things. Was the relationship affected by the whole George Floyd situation?
I came on Project Blue when I finally decided to take this. All this happened in the midst of that. Okay. That was part of my reservation in the beginning as well. Okay. Was because the George Floyd situation. Okay. And then that's when I was like, I don't know if I can do this. But I asked myself this question. What else are you doing? And my answer was, okay, I'm out there, I'm doing the protests, I'm doing all this stuff, but is that really doing anything? Just for me, right? And for who I was able to impact. Right. And I said, I'm on the sidelines. I still feel like I'm on the sidelines and I need to get in the game. So part of me taking the role at Project Blue was to get in the game. So it was a response to that. Because that allowed me to do something about what had just happened in Minnesota, but to do it in LA where I can give people from all sides a chance to just show the goodness. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good. And you're right. And the protest, no matter where you stand, right? Everyone has their thoughts about the whole incident, whatever. I'm not going to talk about that. But you did something, right? Yeah, protesting. I will never be a person that is going to discourage protests. As a Black American, I'm here because of protests. Period.
I was there too. Like, you know what I mean? I was out
Yeah.
there. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I didn't say I didn't agree.
No.
with it.
Oh, for sure.
Like I just
Yes.
feel like I can do more.
More. And that's the only point I wanted to make. Like, yes, there's a place for protests. Do it. Do it legally, though, okay?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Not looting. But you did something more, and I love that. And this is kind of why I do what I do. I want to do something more than just serve the community.
Yes.
Right? But look, okay, let's talk about your book.
Yes. Yes.
You're an author. Congratulations,
Thank you.
by the way.
Thank you so
Congratulations on your book. It is called From Sports to Life. Tell us about your book.
It's another one of those things that's driven in purpose. You know, I was a kid who wanted to be an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
When that didn't happen, I realized that everything that I know as an adult male right now, all the values, the moral, it all came, the life skills, it all came from what I learned on the sports field. Mm-hmm. And I said, if we're not doing something to really help our young people understand that not everybody's going to be a professional athlete. There's less than 2% of NCAA athletes that make it pro, with 500,000 NCAA athletes. If we sit in there and continue to tell every kid from the neighborhood that you can make it pro, we're doing our kids harm and we're lying to them.
100%.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to pour into you. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to give you every opportunity that you can, all 100 of you, to try to make it to your dreams, which is to become an athlete. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do everything I can, but I'm also going to set you up for success, because I know that out of 100 of you, not all of you guys are going to make it. And what am I telling the 98 that's not going to make it? What am I telling you? That you nothing? Because when I didn't become an athlete, I didn't know who I was. I lost my identity. And I'm not going to be the last person that happens to. So From Sports to Life is a framework, is a book that I want every coach, every mentor, every educator that's working with young people to truly understand the impact that we have with this thing called sports, and how we can set these young kids up for success, no matter if they're a professional athlete or a professional something else. Mm-hmm. We want to train professionals. If they happen to become an athlete, that's just a part of a professional. But if they happen to become a doctor, a lawyer, a banker, whatever it is, that's also a professional that sports can help these kids get to. Mm-hmm. So when I'm talking about this book, and when I'm giving real life examples in the book, I'm breaking down the brain development in young people and how they understand things at a certain age, and trauma, and how we as adults need to become responsible for the future of these young people. That this book is passionate to me.
Listen,
this book means a lot to me.
I feel it. I feel that passion, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. When does it come out? Tell us when it comes out.
November the 22nd. It's going to be released on Amazon.
Okay.
And then hard copies is going to be released, or in-person copies, November the 29th at the book release.
Okay. Is there a website somewhere where we can, like, are you going to be doing any, like, book releases, any pop-ups?
I'll be putting everything on the Project Blue website.
Okay.
We're actually publishing it under Project Blue. It's going to be like a model that we give to all of our coaches as well. So I'm excited about that. www.goprojectblue.com. It's on my Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll be promoting everything. So it's Marc _ my word, MYWORD, Marc MARC. And then we're just gonna keep pushing it out from go.projectblue on Instagram. We're gonna just keep pushing it out. But I'm excited.
Yes.
I went through this process and got through it and ready to launch this one, but I'm not done.
You're not. I know you're not. I can feel it. I can feel it, and I love that.
It might be a part 2, and it might be a book about what we talked about.
Yes. I love that, Marc. Seriously, congratulations, and kudos to you for sitting down and writing a book.
Yes.
All right, I have a thought in my head. Maybe you might be having a book too later. We'll see.
I say do it. Stop thinking about it and just start.
Listen, I love that. I'm going to put all that information in the comment section so you guys can reach out to Marc. Project Blue takes donations.
Yeah.
Any kind of ways that we can help. Quickly, how we can help Project Blue.
I think we take donate. We're nonprofit, so we're always looking for funding to kind of help move the needle forward for our programs. If you go to the Project Blue website, there's a donate button there, www.goprojectblue.com. But we're also just looking for people we're looking for people to support us in ways of getting the story out. Mm-hmm. Tell somebody about Project Blue. Follow us on Instagram and really understand that what we're doing at Project Blue is for humanity, for everyone. Yes. Not just one side. It's for everyone. And if you can understand and explain that to people, because people hear the name Project Blue and they think, we're for everyone.
Everyone. I love for people.
for people.
For
It's
people.
blue skies. You know,
Yes.
blue skies is endless possibilities.
I love that. Marc, listen, thank you so much. I know we probably could have talked for another 2 hours if we had the time. But yes, no, we probably can do that for sure and do more focus on specific thing. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you are doing in the community. I know the community appreciates you. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Keep up what you're doing too.
Listen, I'm gonna
making
do
a
it.
difference.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it as long as I possibly can.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The Human Side with yours truly, Officer Jill. As you know, if you ever want to have this conversation with me, like Marc and I, we have real honest conversations. You can reach out to me. My contact information is going to be in the comments of this video. But most importantly, like I always tell you guys, if you show me your human side, I show you mine. All right, y'all. Peace.